Good afternoon or good morning, whatever it is there in Chicago. Thank you so much for giving me this incredible honor to present the Fortson-Harley Endowed Lectureship. I'm not going to be long. I know this is a recorded conversation. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. As many of you know, we got to start restricting our travel for various reasons. So this year I'm not at the meeting, but hopefully I'll get to see all of you soon. I want to talk just very briefly about some of the things that I think about. In particular, those of you who know me know I refer to this quote very often, and it's my mantra that the means are the ideal in the making, the end is a process. And I just strongly believe that the way you go about something not only helps you get to whatever you're trying to achieve, but it becomes embedded within the achievement. And you can't separate the two. You can't achieve a just end via unjust means. And secondly, that the end is a process. It's an ongoing thing. There's no, okay, you graduate from medical school, but becoming a doctor is continual. It never stops until you stop. Every day when I go to clinic and I see a patient, I recognize that I'm becoming a doctor as I walk in the room. And with each encounter, I'm building upon what I've learned in the past, but it doesn't always necessarily guarantee what happens in the future. It can help predict the future, but the future is still uncertain. Even in the simplest interactions, putting in a tympanostomy tube seems so straightforward, but we all know that putting in that tube doesn't necessarily predict that the tube's going to function in 3 months, or the child's not going to get a cholesteatoma as a result of that tube. So you try to say, okay, what's the ideal that I'm shooting for? And I think the Harry Barnes Society is a part of that lesson for all of us. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Romaine Fitzgerald Johnson. It's a funny story. Ask me how I got my name, and I'm happy to share it with you. But I'm a professor of otolaryngology and public health at the UT Southwestern Medical School and the O'Donnell School of Public Health at UT Southwestern. I'm primarily a pediatric otolaryngologist. That's how I became an ENT in terms of that's what I do now. I don't do any general anymore. And I'm also the immediate past president of the Harry Barnes Medical Society. Or maybe after this meeting, I'll be the immediate past president of the Harry Barnes Society. And again, really happy for those of you who are there and you don't know me. If you see me in the future, just stop and say hi. I'd love to talk to you and get to know you. I want to acknowledge the Harry Barnes Medical Society Executive Council and their leadership. And having the vision to create this lectureship and being committed to honoring our foundational contributions and recognizing all of the ongoing work ahead. I'm so appreciative of the Harry Barnes Society. I think as an African American, I recognize how important it is to have a society like Harry Barnes, on which we can use as a platform to become otolaryngologists and practicing physicians. And also, I always, we stand on the shoulders of giants. I want to thank those who paved the way and those who are continuing the struggle. Man, that's so important. Those who are continuing the struggle, they need to be encouraged. Dr. Fortson, Dr. James Fortson, he's a foundation builder, right? Long-standing member of the Harry Barnes Society, a real OG, growing up in the 90s, listening to hip-hop music. He would what we'd call a real OG. One of the co-creators of the Hinton Blatney Award, former chief of head and neck surgery at Morehouse School of Medicine, member of the Triological Society. He's a Bison alum. I'm not going to hold that against him, but he's a Bison alum. And he is this year's Hinton Blatney Award winner. Congratulations, Dr. Fortson. Dr. Harley is an institutional champion. He's a professor of otolaryngology at Georgetown. He's also a pediatric otolaryngologist like myself. He's a Navy veteran. He's an 8-mile veteran. He's from Detroit, so 8 Mile, but he's an 8-mile veteran. He's also one of the creators of the Hinton Gladney Award, and he's a 2006 award winner. And anyone who knows Dr. Harley and those who don't know him, he really exemplifies what we would call the senior surgeon and mentor. Thank you, Dr. Harley, for all that you do. This is the Hinton Gladney Award is an award of excellence, right? You know, think about John Gladney, born in 1923. That means when he started medical school at the typical age of the mid-20s, this is 1943. You know, right when World War II was in the middle of World War II, more than likely, or maybe just at the end of World War II. We were still dealing with Jim Crow in the South, but yet the civil rights movement was beginning to, the modern civil rights movement was beginning to nascent and grow, because I think there's always been a civil rights movement in America when it comes to African Americans demanding their rights. He trained in Illinois, and he was a longtime chair at St. Louis University. In fact, the first African American chair. I think he was the first African American chair of any department. Dr. Harley can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And then his counterpart, Dr. Hinton, born in 1916. So when he was in his mid-20s, you're talking about the 30s, definitely Jim Crow, before World War II. Longtime faculty at Howard Medical School, where he was the division chief. Trained at Philadelphia General. Philadelphia General has been closed for years, but that was one of the places where a lot of black doctors learned how to become physicians. And he was a longtime chief at Howard, as I previously mentioned. You know, it's historically significant to have that award named after them. You know, these are some of the real OGs, as I said earlier. They really provided and paved the way. I know Dr. Harley would talk about they're probably in that second generation of black otolaryngologists in the U.S. And the award recognizes the contributions of those who kind of continued in that legacy. There's been over 15 honorees, and it's a symbol of achievement within an organization as well as otolaryngology at large. Dr. Harley will often say that that's one of the awards that he's most proud of. But there was a recognition gap. It rewarded established pathways for certain types of visibility. And where sometimes the foundational work that was done, the work of the history, the work of the organization, the work of the daily practice of building Harry Barnes and advocating for our contributions to the specialty were somewhat invisible. And people recognized that we needed to expand these recognition frameworks. And that's why Dr. Angela Powell, when she was president of the Harry Barnes Society, she said, you know, we need additional rewards. We need to honor our history. Maybe we should create a reward for that. Award for that, not reward. An award for that. You know, recognizing that foundation building is a different type of excellence, but an important type of excellence. Forward-thinking preservation, thinking about like, okay, how do we preserve our history and making sure that it's active and visible, and creating permanent recognition of it, and safeguarding the knowledge for future generations, and then honoring the builders alongside the builders upon, you know, the people who built as well as the people who are ongoing, and creating that redundancy that strengthens the whole system, the adaptability. And Dr. Powell was ingenious for doing this, and I'm so thankful that this year I'm the person who the organization feels exemplifies that mission. And so the means represent the ideal in the making and the end in process. That's what Dr. King said. That's his exact quote. I changed it just a little bit. But what does he mean? How we do institutional work embodies the values we seek. Change is not a destination. It is an ongoing practice. Each intervention creates capacity for the next intervention. What are the ideals that we seek? What is our vision? I believe we want equitable recognition of diverse contributions. I was going to say all lives matter, and I know sometimes we get, that framing gets like, oh, you're belittling the original mission, but I'm not. I'm saying that every contribution matters, that everybody can play a role, particularly those who have been excluded, and that's what the Harry Barnes Society seeks to do. And our memory, what we choose to endow, I guess, into future generations, is this kind of institutional memory that honors all forms of excellence, because we all know that the opportunities that some of us get are restricted and constrained. But the Harry Barnes Society says, no, we're going to try to recognize all forms of excellence. And then we recognize that, okay, we have to adapt, because all our needs and all our understandings are emerging needs and understanding. There's nothing fixed. And then in practice, the ideal, the processes, we're diplomats. We are the true diplomats. We build bridges across generations, across organizations, within organizations. We create new pathways, not destroy old pathways. We create new pathways. We forge ahead, and we're inclusive in our decision-making processes and in who we invite to the table. That's Harry Barnes. This award was needed because we know we have to recognize our history, that systems naturally drift towards entropy. We naturally drift towards forgetting. But we recognize, like, okay, this award will make sure we don't forget. Every year, somebody's got to come up and remind us of the history, of the mission. And that's why this award was given. And we'll help new generations recognize those frameworks. We'll help them develop that institutional resiliency and adaptive capacity to continue to fight. So, you had the Fortson-Harley Award. That's one way. What are some of the other challenges? Like, okay, we have leadership gaps. We know that academy and COSM and TRIO and peer review and curriculum development, that they're places where we need to be more involved. So we address those gaps, and we are. Look at the inside the room. I'm sure we have, we got people involved with the executive board of TRIO and the executive board of the academy, and former SUO leaders, and vice chairs and chairs. So, but the challenges continue, and we apply these principles every time. Go back. Okay, what are the means? What are the ideals? The end is a process. The work continues. The work continues. They called them survival programs. Those of you who don't know, my stepfather's Bobby Seale. He founded the Black Panther Party with Huey Newton. And obviously I can hear a lot of the stories about the Black Panther Party. I've had 50 years of talking to Bobby Seale about the Black Panther Party. And yeah, some of the stories I've heard more than once. But there are some things, there are core lessons that I did take, and I want to share one with you. He said, we called them survival programs because we understood that communities need essential infrastructure to thrive when mainstream institutions fail them. It's not charity, it's self-determination. No handouts, we're building power. Not reform, but revolution. What are our survival programs? Harry Barnes is one of our survival programs. Black student unions, historically black colleges, Greek-lettered organizations, SNMA, NMA, and Harry Barnes. These are our survival programs. They do the same thing. So what is the Fortson-Harley Reprise? What does it mean? It's that the means are the ideal. The end is a process. History is lived. It's iterative. Telling our stories is a quintessential survival program. And the Harry Barnes and Fortson-Harley legacy afford us the space to do it. I want to really thank you all for giving me this brief opportunity to share these words. I'm going to see you all real soon. Take care. God bless.